She has been one of our greatest supporters, but that's not why we picked her. This story is pretty amazing. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Frankly, you're not going to believe it. Geales?
So come with me to Memorial Day weekend, 1997, in Colonial Williamsburg, Virginia. The place is the Williamsburg Lodge Auditorium, a performance venue very similar to where you're sitting tonight. And the event was the Grand Medley of Entertainments, an 18th century vaudeville show that was performed live on stage every Thursday night. Well, the writer, director, and host of this show was a friend of mine, and I had heard that he was in a pickle. So I went to Carson and said, "How can I help you?" And he said, "Well, I'm one cast member short for my Memorial Day show, and it's a sold-out house. I'm looking for a volunteer to be my audience plant." And I said, "So what does that entail?" He said, "So you sit in the audience, you dress like a tourist, you look like a tourist, and at the end of the first act, we have a scene where we need help. And so we reach out to the audience and we say, 'Would anybody be willing to volunteer?' And you raise your hand and we pick you." I said, "Okay, what do I do?" He said, "You come up on stage and you have one job, only one job, and that is to hold a large fake cake. And that's your job." I said, "You know, Carson, I think I can handle this. I'll do this for you." And he said, "Well, there's one teeny little thing that I haven't yet mentioned. And that is, well, the scene behind you is just going to fall apart and just go to hell. And everybody's going to fall in a big heap, including you. And you're going to fall on your knees and you're going to face plant in that fake cake." Really? Okay, I'm in. But let me borrow the knee pads and the fake cake because I'm going to practice at home. So, the big night comes. I'm sitting out there in the audience, dressed like a tourist with my friends. The end of Act 1 comes. They ask, "Can we find a volunteer?" Oh, me, pick me. And they do, they choose me. What a surprise. I go up to the stage and I say, "What do I do?" And the director says to me and to the audience, "This is what's going to happen. This is the tightrope walking scene. And everybody has a job back here, and your job is to hold the cake. You stand center stage and look out at the audience, and you just hold the cake. Because when the tightrope walker gets to the middle of the rope, you are going to hand her the cake, and she is going to balance the cake on her head." Okay, action. Everybody does what they're supposed to do. All of a sudden, they're falling in a heap behind me, and I fall on my knees. The curtain closes. I jump up. I say, "How did I do?" And the stage manager looks at me in utter horror and says, "We need to call an ambulance now." Why? Geales, I iced that cake, and there was no raspberry filling in that cake. And I am looking at your face, and it is covered with shaving cream and raspberry filling because you are bleeding a lot. Well, it seems that in my zeal to do the very best job I possibly could, I hurled myself into my fall, and although my face landed in the shaving cream foam cake, my forehead hit the wooden platter that was holding the cake, and my forehead broke open, And I also managed to give myself a bloody nose. So the director says, we're calling off Act 2. We need to get you to the hospital. No. The show must go on. Plus the fact I'm in the last scene, which is the chase scene, when everybody runs across the stage. And I need to do that so people can see that I'm okay. You're not okay. About this time, a cast member steps up and says, I was a medic in Vietnam. Maybe I can help. So we go backstage, and he cleans my face as best he could, and we find this teeny tiny little first aid kit, and he takes every gauze pad in there and tries to stop the bleeding. And then we find these strips of fabric backstage with stage blood on them that were part of somebody's costume, and he ties those around my head. And I was in the chase scene and so happily going back and forth across the stage. And the curtain closes, and he turns around and says, all right, everybody, get in the van. We're going to the hospital. So we pile in my minivan, and we all go to the Williamsburg Community Hospital emergency room. And as we unload, all of my colleagues are in full 18th century costume. They have on knee breeches, buckles on their shoes, tricorn hats, the whole thing, which was sort of a normal scene in Williamsburg. I get stitched up inside and out. They wrap up my head so that it looks like I've had major brain surgery, and they send me home. My colleagues drop me at my house about midnight. I open the front door only to find every single member of my family sound asleep, sawing logs, without any concern for my welfare at all. That was the last time I set foot on a stage until tonight. Thank you.